Hey, Matt here at Epic Real Estate, and welcome back. We're going to go ahead and try and conclude this. We thought it was going to be a three-parter, but now it's turned into a four-parter, and hopefully it won't be a five-parter. But I just want to kind of break this whole conversation of how to close a motivated seller. I want to break it up into small, easy, little consumable pieces of information that you can revert back to, just back to the pieces that you needed the most, okay? So today we're going to talk about how to negotiate with a motivated seller. And we kind of talked about that a little bit last time, right? How to negotiate with and overcome the seller's objections. And the best way to do that is to eliminate the negotiating and the objections altogether. So how do you do that? Well, you don't present yourself as the adversary to the seller, so you're not negotiating against. You are the problem solver. The seller has the problem, and you're going to go in and you're going to align yourself being the good cop with the seller, okay? So if you're the problem solver and they got a problem, you're on the same side. The only thing that's going to get in the way is the big old bad market. The market is going to be the bad cop, okay? You're the good cop, the market's the bad cop. And what our objective is here is to be the good cop and make the offer, the price, the seller's idea, and make it their idea so that you agree with it and that it's a deal for you. Okay, most people will come down and they will be the bad cop. Not that they're a bad person, but they position themselves as an adversary. I'm the buyer, you're the seller. We're going to go back and forth on price till we come to an agreement. And the investor always makes it their idea. This is what I'm willing to give you, take it or leave it. And this comes right down here, results in a lot of resistance from the seller and ultimately in no deal quite often. Okay, you can still do deals down here. People do, but it's a tough way to do business. It's a struggle. We want to work up here where you have cooperative sellers and you've got easy transactions. And you do that by being the good cop and making the offer the seller's idea. So we're going to go through that. We set the stage before, right? So we talked about how the actual phone call works is as far as staying in this upper right hand quadrant. And that was with our 9-point seller interview. Okay, we went through all 9 points, and you can review back to that or revert back to that other lesson to go through these 9 points. But we ended with the transition agreement. Okay, remember the transition agreement? Is we're going to set the expectations of what's going to happen next. Then you're going to take and ask for permission to say no, and you're going to give them permission to say no. Right? And what that does is it makes you likable, it makes you trustworthy, and it shows that you are a competent professional in what you're doing. Okay? It accomplishes all of that. And understand, people in distress, this is why this is important. People that are in distress, the financial distress, the personal distress, or the property distress, they want to work with someone that they like. They want to work with someone that they trust. And they want to work with someone that they believe to be competent, that knows what they're doing. And that's what the transition agreement does. It does it all in one big swoop. So we call it a transition agreement because we do it in every time there's a transition in the transaction. So now we're here, we've set our appointment, we're showing up at the seller's house, right? We're going to knock on the door, and they're going to answer the door, and now it's time for the other transition agreement. You're making this transition to the next phase of the transaction, right? So it's going to be, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, this is what I'd love for you to do. Thanks for having me over. Nice house. If you could just do me a favor, show me around the property, and just kind of point out anything that you think directly or indirectly impacts the value. I'm just going to take some notes. And after that, I'll go ahead, if it's a good fit, I'll go ahead and I'll have an offer for you. But if it's not a good fit, I'll let you know that as well. And if at any time this feels uncomfortable and you don't feel it's going to be a good fit, will you let me know that as well? Are you comfortable telling me no today? All right, so what you just did is you gave them permission to say no. And that's a release statement. And then the reason you do the release statements for actually 2 things. Well, first is you're not ever going to get a real yes unless you give the seller the permission to say no. That's the first part. The second part is it's showing that you don't really need this, right? So it holds your position, it holds your stature inside of the negotiation. Okay, it shows that, I mean, they're over there thinking, wow, they don't really need this. You're not showing up as the money hungry, greedy investor that they thought you were when they originally called for your marketing materials, right? Now you're this person like, God, I hope this person can help us. I hope they buy our house. Because you got plenty of other leads. You got plenty of opportunity. You don't have to buy this house. I mean, you got to buy and sell houses to run your business, but you don't need any one house. And that's what the transition agreement demonstrates, okay? And it conveys that. And it makes them a little bit more trustworthy and hopeful that you're actually going to buy their house, okay? Going to be much more receptive to your offer. So you're going to go through, you can walk in with your clipboard, have a little seller information sheet like this, which has the bedroom and the bath count, and you can take notes of the condition and the square footage. You get all that stuff. You can put your comps on here. We got one in the academy. You can certainly have one of ours. I'll share it in a second. But what I always do is after I share the transition agreement, I'll say, okay, great. So I've got some questions I'm going to ask as we go around, and I'm just going to read them right off the paper, if you don't mind. I mean, these are the same questions I ask everybody, and I just want to make sure I don't miss anything, particularly anything that might cost you an opportunity or cost you some money. Is it okay if I just go ahead and read them right here off the paper? Got it? You got permission. And they're going to say, sure, go ahead, read all of them, ask me everything. And the reason I say they're the same questions I ask everybody, because if you come across any sort of awkward question, they're like, oh, this is just routine. This is what he does. This is the way the competent professional operates, right? It's the same, everybody goes through the same thing. And then also, what it does is it allows you to ask everything. And it allows you to not have to memorize anything. You get to read it right off of here, and you can stumble, you can stutter, you can trip all over your words, and you're just like, oh, I'm sorry, this is like a weird question. How much do you owe on the house? Right? So it just breaks down all the barriers, okay? And also gets you all the information, which you need. So you're gonna go through the whole thing, and once it comes down to the time where you've had the tour of the property, and it's time to discuss the price, right? Time to discuss the price. This is what we're leading up to right now in this lesson. How do we present our offer so we stay in this upper right-hand quadrant? How do we remain the good guy and make it the seller's idea? Well, there's a series of questions that you can ask, and I've got it all. We got inside our free course. We got inside of our RAS program, and we do it at the boot camp. We got it everywhere. And I'll show you how to get a copy in a sec. But I'll just kind of go through this process. Most buyers will come in and they'll just go back and forth on price. They've only got one way to ask for the offer, and either they get it or they don't. Okay? But if I gave you 5 ways to ask for it, you got a much better shot at it, right? So remember, you are an investor and you buy property in one of 2 ways. This is your mindset from this point forward. You buy property in one of 2 ways. It's either you're going to buy this property at your price and the seller's terms, or the seller's price and your terms. Okay? As long as you can control one of those, as long as you can control the price or the terms, you can always create a deal for yourself. Always. You can always create a win-win scenario for yourself. Okay? Down here, there's always going to be a loser. There'll always be a loser. Up here, everybody wins. And remember, and keep this in mind, win-win does not mean equal. It just means both sides get what they want. Okay? So keep in mind, win-win does not mean equal. You're just going to make sure both sides get what they want. And that's going to end up to be a good deal for you. Typically, it's going to end up as an equity for you, peace of mind for the seller, and both will walk away happy. All right, so this is how it works. You've come to the conclusion of the little tour, and you're like, okay, great, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based off what the market is sharing about your property, the market, over here the bad cop, right? The market's the bad cop, you're the good cop. Based off what the market is sharing, the market conditions have your property around $100,000. And then based on what you shared with me about the property and the condition of the property and the repairs and everything you pointed out to me while we were walking around, okay, that was their idea. And then after carving out a small little profit for myself, just a small little profit for the good cop over here, what you're saying is, we're right around $60,000. Is that right? Got it? So all of that conversation was very specific and direct by staying up in this upper right-hand quadrant. Based on what the market is saying, the bad cop, what you shared about the property's condition, the seller shared about the property's condition, carving out a small little profit for the good cop over here, what you're saying is we're right around $60,000. What you are saying is we're right around $60,000. Okay? So that was the way that you would phrase that. And if they got 2 options, they can say yes or they can say no. If they say yes, what do? You get the contract signed, right? If they say no, what do? You ask again. Okay? Very simple. And this is how you ask again. All right, so based off what the market is saying and based off what you shared with me about the property's condition, what is the lowest price you would take for the property? Okay? What is the lowest price you would take? And they're going to say, well, I wouldn't take a penny less than $70,000. Okay? So if you find that to be a good deal, acceptable, what do? Pull out the contract, get that thing signed. If you don't like that number, what are you going to do? You're going to ask again. Right? So you'll come back and great, Mr. Seller, you know my biggest goal here is not to make the biggest profit. Although it is to make a profit, this is how I feed my family. But my biggest goal is just to make sure that I'm safe and that I don't lose money. Would $65,000 be acceptable if I could close faster. Got it? So you're asking them, would 65 be acceptable if I could close faster? And what you just did right there is you just eliminated the negotiation from just price. You're no longer negotiating price now. You're now negotiating price and terms. You're negotiating the amount of money and the speed of which they get it. That's the term, the speed at which they get it. So sometimes that fast nickel is worth more to people than a slow dime when they start thinking about that. So either they're going to say yes or they're going to say no. And if they say yes, what are you going to do? Yep, you're going to break out that contract and you're going to get that thing signed. If they say no, okay, it's fine. We're going to ask again in a different way. We've already asked 3 different times, but in a totally different way each time, not going back and forth. 55, 50, 55, 50, 55, 54, 54, meet you in the middle, blah, blah, blah. None of that, okay? We're just going back, we're asking really nice. Great, okay, so Mr. Seller, I'm sorry, what you've proposed is, it's a little bit beyond my risk tolerance, and you know, you now know my biggest goal. I'm just curious, what is your biggest goal? Is it to get top dollar or is it to sell fast? Okay? Is it to get top dollar or is it to sell fast? So what you're doing is you're making them choose. Which one are you going to take? Are you going to take the price or the terms? You don't care which one they take, because as long as you can control one, you can always make a deal for yourself. Okay? So you're forcing them to choose. So if they want, I need top dollar. Okay, great. You know, because honestly, you're not going to get top dollar from me. You're just not going to. If you want a fast sale, I'm your guy. If you want top dollar, I got a referral to a great realtor. Would you like their number? I could set them up. They could probably get your house sold and get you top dollar. I don't know, probably 45, 60 days you'll be in out here. It's a good market. You probably get it in 45, 60 days. Would you like a referral? Sorry, we weren't able to make an agreement. Okay? Or if they need fast, great. Well, what you kind of said earlier is kind of the slow price. Based on the market conditions, this would be the fast price. Okay? So you still kind of kept it. It's kind of moving out of here a little bit, right? But still, it's the market that said this is the fast price. And if they don't like it, then great. Okay, well, it doesn't look like the market is going to allow us both to get what we want. The market's gotten away. This market, the bad cop is winning over here. It's not going to allow us to both get what we want. So what I can do is I can leave you with this letter of intent. It's a 3-option letter of intent. You'll see that it has 3 options, 3 different ways of which I'm prepared to purchase your property. Go ahead and take a look. I'll leave this with you, and then you'll see my numbers there at the bottom. And if any of those resonate with you, give me a call, and I'll go ahead and we'll see if we can make that happen. I've got a few properties to look at this week. I don't know how long I'll be able to honor this, but it stands right now. But the sooner you call me, the better the chance we have of getting accepted. So I'll just leave that with you, and then I'll follow up with you. Is that all right? That's it. Okay. So even if you didn't get the deal, no big deal. There might not have been a deal there to get had, right? But you asked 5 different ways. You took 5 shots at it, and you had logic behind it. The market was the bad cop. You were the good cop, and everything was the seller's idea. And the market got in the way. That's the only thing that's ever going to get in the way. The market is the market is the market. A property is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. And if the market is saying it ain't going to pay that price, then they're going to be stuck. Okay? Now, there might be another investor out there willing to pay more. But that's not your concern. You know what your minimum deal standards were. You know what you're willing to pay, right? And even if it turns out to be a good deal for them, it's better to miss out on a good one than it is to buy a bad one, okay? But I like to leave them with a 3-option letter of intent. There's 2 schools of thought on this. Some people don't like to leave anything behind. Some people like to leave something behind every time. I prefer it. I know enough people that have gotten deals because they didn't leave anything behind because they don't want the seller to go shop their contract with other investors, because that happens, right? There's some savvy sellers out there that like to do that, or that know how to do that. The other side of it is, I've got plenty of deals of people called me 4 months later. Hey, you remember that 3-option letter of intent you sent me? Will you still honor that? That's happened to me enough times to where I feel comfortable leaving that behind. So 2 schools of thought. I think they both work. Which is going to work each time, I don't know. So I just pick one and stay consistent with it. All right. So once I left them with the 3-option letter of intent, I call them back the next day and say, hey, I just calling checking in. see if you had a chance to look over that letter of intent, and there was 3 options on there. Which one did you like best? Okay, and they're going to tell you. They tell you 1, number 2. They're going to tell you number 3 because you gave them 3 options. They're going to tell you 1, 2, or 3, and if they say 1, 2, or 3, great. Should I go ahead and put that in a formal agreement? Come over and get your signature. Okay, or they're going to say none of them. I didn't like any of them. That'd be the 4th option, right? And if they say none of them, I say great. So which one was closest? Okay, and then they're going to say, well, they're going to say 1, 2, or 3, right? And then I'll ask, okay, so how far apart are we? So what just happened there is, which one did you like best? If they said none, great. Which one was closest? Right? And they said this, they gave you an answer, and you say, how far apart are we? So what I did is I just asked 3 more times. So while we were there face to face, we asked 5 times, and then tomorrow we had a very good valid reason to call them up and ask them 3 more times. And if you got a deal, go ahead, get over there, get that put in a formal agreement together. A lot of times when they see those price and terms, and they might be very, what do you call it? Not standoffish, but they might not be so open to it. They're going to reject it in the beginning. But once they've had a night to marinate with it, and they've slept on it, and they know how likable you are, how trustworthy you are, and you seem like you knew what you're doing, it starts to kind of, the wheels start to turn, and then sometimes they'll be a little bit more receptive the following day. Okay? So since we started using that 3-option letter of intent and going through this process and using that 3-option letter of intent at the beginning, we have doubled our acceptance rate. And so that's just, hopefully that give you a little bit of insight. You don't have to do it exactly the way we do it, but hopefully that give you a little bit of an angle. And next time you talk to your motivated sellers and you're going over for your meetings, try to stay being the good cop. Make it the seller's idea, and you're going to have a lot more cooperative sellers and easy transactions. And actually everything I just went through it's from our REI ACE program, our flagship program. It's from our Ground and Pound Boot Camp, but we also just put everything in our free course. So if you'd like a copy of everything we just discussed and the exact verbiage and then instructions on all of that stuff, you can go to freerealestateinvestingcourse.com. freerealestateinvestingcourse.com. All right, I'm going to stop talking. My voice is gone. All right, so I'll see you next time. I'm Matt at Epic Real Estate, and take care. Hey, Matt here. If you like what you just saw, like this video. If you want more when it comes to investing in real estate, subscribe to our channel. Look for new videos on Thursdays and Fridays. We give it all away here for free. We hold absolutely nothing back in helping you get to your next level. So if you'd like a custom action plan on how to do that, go to whatsmynextlevel.com, answer a few questions about you and your business, and then I'll generate instantly a custom action plan just for you to get to your next level. You can text the word LEVEL to 505-605-6065 or go to whatsmynextlevel.com. All right, I'll see you next time.